A dal and rice is a classic Indian staple and it's available in a lot of variations and versions, and khichdi being one of those versions. So today let's make a wholesome, quick and easy Dal Khichdi Tadka. For this, I've taken a combination of pigeon pea lentils and rice. I have washed this nicely and soaked it for 20 minutes in warm water. Well, this now has to be pressure cooked. To this, I'll be adding in some turmeric and salt. Finally, some water. And this needs to be pressure cooked under 4 whistles or till completely cooked. Well, while this is getting ready, let's quickly start cutting the onions and chilies. Let's begin with making the first tadka. The first tadka I'm going to make with vegetable oil. As soon as the oil heats up, the first thing that goes in are mustard seeds. As they begin to splutter, I'll add in asafoetida or hing, followed by chopped onions and chilies. Give this a mix. And I'm going to cook this till they turn translucent. The onions have turned translucent. The next thing that goes in is ginger garlic paste. We need to cook this till the raw flavor of ginger and garlic goes away. And this could take anywhere between 30 to 40 seconds. With these, I'm turning the flame off of the pressure cooker and allow the pressure to subside. By that time, let's continue making the masala. Well, the next thing that goes in are chopped tomatoes. When the tomatoes have cooked, I'll add in the powder spices. In this case, red chili powder and coriander powder. Give this a mix and allow this to cook for like a minute or so. Well, simultaneously, let's check on the dal and the rice. I'm going to use a whisk and whisk this up completely. And at this stage, add in some water. Time to transfer the boiled dal and rice into the masala. And a quick stir. Allow this to bubble for a minute or so. Well, at this stage, your masala khichdi is ready and you can serve this with ghee. But I'm going to take it to another level and give it a tadka, and that's where the name comes in, Dal Khichdi Tadka. So for that, of course, the next step is making the tadka. I'm taking another vessel in which I'm going to add in some ghee. The first thing that goes in, cumin seeds. When these begin to crackle, I'll add in broken dried red chilies and finally some fresh curry leaves. Once this splutters, we need to throw this on top of the khichdi. A quick stir and your Dal Khichdi Tadka is ready. With this, one of my most favorite meals, which is Dal Khichdi, is ready. Do try this at home, I'm sure you'll like it. And do not forget to like and share our videos and subscribe to Rajshri Food. Hey guys, this is the Bombay Chef Varun Inamdar, and today let's look at that quintessential Indian snack, Punjabi samosas. To begin this recipe, let's first start making the stuffing, for which I'm going to take fresh green chilies and chop this finely. And roughly cut the ginger with the skin on. I'm going to roughly crush the cut pieces of ginger. The ginger and chilies are processed and ready. Let's now start making the masala. For this, I'm heating a deep pan on moderate flame. Once the pan heats up, I'll add in some ghee I'll first add in some cumin seeds. Once these start crackling, I'll add in the fennel seeds, immediately followed by chopped chilies and crushed ginger. To this, I'll add in some boiled green peas. Give it a quick mix. After a quick few tosses, I'll add in the spices, in this case the red chili powder, followed by ground garam masala powder, a little salt. Before adding in the potatoes, I'm roughly going to cut them. I'll drop in the potatoes. And along with this, some mint and coriander. Mix this nicely. And once that's done, off goes the flame and allow this to cool down completely to room temperature. In the interim, let's start making the outer covering, for which I have some refined flour, to which I'm adding melted ghee. Along with this, some semolina, some untoasted cumin seeds, sugar, some baking soda, and finally some salt. Give this a mix and make sure this starts resembling breadcrumbs. And this is best done with your fingers. I'll be adding in water and convert this into a stiff dough. Add in little water at a time so that you can keep gauging the amount of water that goes in to make this stiff dough. Do not overdo this, otherwise if the dough becomes softer, the samosas become very soft and not as short crust as you would want them to be. Take this on a working bench and massage this for the next 3 to 5 minutes. The dough has become nice and stiff. Now let's rest this under a damp cloth for 15 to 20 minutes. The stuffing has cooled down and the dough has also rested enough. Let's now get the shapes right. For this, let's re-massage the dough a little and divide this into equal portions. While you're working on the first dough, make sure the other dough is resting under the damp cloth again. Press the first dough down and roll this into a disc. You may have to apply a little pressure to make sure you stretch the dough enough while rolling, because remember, this is a stiff dough. Keep lifting and turning so that the dough does not stick to the bottom of the board, and roll it till roughly it is an thick. Once that's ready, I'm going to divide this midway and pick one neatly. At the base of this half, I'm going to apply some cold water. This is to make sure the patti or the covering of the samosa sticks nicely. Flip it on one side and turn it over like so. The ends nicely meet, like this, and press them neatly. Make sure this starts looking like a conical shape. Take a lemon-sized ball of the stuffing and convert it into a teardrop shape. Press it down. Apply some water on all the sides of the open flap and press this down from this side towards the seam. Press this nicely. Make sure the seam does not open at any point. Place this on the board and allow this to sit comfortably. Similarly, let's start making the other samosas. The samosas are shaped now. Let's cover these under a damp cloth and heat the oil on low flame. Once the oil moderately heats up, I'll introduce in the raw samosas. These little bubbles in oil tell you that the oil is at the perfect temperature. These samosas need to be fried on low flame completely till they turn golden brown. Well, if you do this on a high flame, they may turn golden brown on the outside but remain raw within. The samosas are fried and ready. Carefully lift this up from the oil and transfer this on an absorbent kitchen paper. I am making today one of the most popular recipes in the world, and I truly believe it. It is a pizza. So let's begin with classic thin crust pizza margherita. I'm breaking this recipe into 4 steps. Let's begin with the first one, which is making the dough. For which I'm taking some yeast, some sugar and water. I'm giving it a nice mix, and this can stay here at room temperature for around 4 to 5 minutes. Now that this has air bubbles on top, which means the yeast has been activated, this goes straight in the flour. Well, find the detailed measurements in the description box below. Next goes in oil, a tablespoon of salt and water to start kneading the dough. I'm going to knead this into a soft and pliable dough. Now I'm going to transfer this on a clean surface and knead it for somewhere around 8 to 10 minutes. Now that the dough is ready, this can rest for 15 to 20 minutes under a damp cloth. While in the interim, let's move to step 2, which is making the sauce. So let's begin with the sauce for the pizza. For that, I need some ripe tomatoes. I'm going to remove the eye of the tomato like this. The eyes have been removed because I want to blanch these tomatoes. Now these tomatoes go in boiling water. Now that these tomatoes are blanched, I'm transferring these into ice cold water. So let's start peeling these off. So the reason of transferring this in ice cold water is to give these tomatoes a thermal shock. So hot one and now a cold shock. So the skin comes out on its own. I'm going to cut these tomatoes in halves. And I'm going to remove the seed. I'm going to now discard the seeds and the skin. Allow me a moment to wash my hands, and then I'm going to run this into a smooth paste. I have a juicer mixer here with me. I'm going to transfer these blanched tomatoes into the jar and run this into a very fine juice. Along with this, I'm going to add in a little bit of salt, sugar, and some cloves of garlic. Well, this is now done. I'm transferring this into a bowl. I've left it a little chunky because that's how I like it. Well, choice is yours. You can run it into a very fine puree, or you can leave it chunky like I have. Now is the time to add in some fresh basil. And along with this, some extra virgin olive oil. Give it a mix and allow this to marinate for 10 to 15 minutes. Now this is the sauce how Italians make when they are in cafes and they're on the beach fronts, Well, if you wish, you can also pan fry the sauce a little just for 2 minutes, just to make it a little indigenous and the way we like it at home. Now that the dough and sauce both are ready, let's move to step 3, which is rolling it into a thin crust. Now this is the step where you can decide the thickness of the pizza. So whether you want a thin pizza or a thick pizza, choice is yours. So I'm just taking like a handful of the dough, dabbing a little flour on the surface. I'm going to roll this into a very thin dough. Now this goes on a baking tray. I'm going to cut the excess dough according to the size of my tray. I'm going to top this now with a tomato sauce. Do not overtop this, otherwise the crust will become a little soggier. Now goes in mozzarella cheese. Now let's move on to step 4, which is baking. I'm going to bake this in a preheated oven at 200 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Make sure it doesn't brown too much. Pizza is ready. Now is the time to splash some extra virgin olive oil. And finally, some fresh basil leaves. Well, so this is your pizza margherita ready. Do try it at home and do let us know how you like it. Wait for what next, the Bombay chef gets into your kitchen.
I'm going to make an Indian beverage called the chai or tea, without which the morning of an Indian household doesn't quite start. India is the second largest producer and consumer of tea in the world, and you'll find a tea stall on every street corner of the country. The cup that you're going to use to serve the tea, use that as a measurement. So I'm going to be using this one. So all the other ingredients are proportionate to this size of a cup. So first I'm going to start with boiling the water. I'm going to take 1.5 cup of water. And I'm going to leave this to boil. While my water is boiling, very quickly I'm just going to pound 2-3 small pieces of ginger. And I'm going to add this into the water. Also, I'm going to pound a couple of cardamoms. And add it to the water. 2 teaspoons of tea powder. And I'm going to let it boil for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Make sure you boil the ginger, water and cardamom properly before you add the milk. Otherwise, because of the ginger, your milk might just curdle. So be careful about that. Water is boiling since 2-3 minutes. And in my same serving cup, I'm going to measure 1 cup of milk and add it in. Also, we'll add the sugar, 2 teaspoons and just a little more. Or you can keep it separately so that people can add as much as they want. Stir it in. Let it come to a complete boil. The tea is bubbling. Just reduce the flame before it overflows. Let's serve this tea. With a very fine sieve, I'm going to strain this tea. Enjoy this cup of aromatic tea and have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye. Hi guys, I have some leftover rice and I'm going to make a super spicy and masaledar recipe in Indian terms called Tawa Pulao. It's very simple, so let's see how. So I'm going to start with heating the butter. Next I'm going to add 2 onions cut lengthwise. Don't let the onions go brown, just let them sweat a little bit. And now I'm going to add the ginger garlic paste. 1.5 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste. Let it cook nicely. After the ginger garlic paste is cooked properly, I'm going to add 1.5 bell pepper chopped into squares. Next I'm going to add 4 tomatoes finely chopped. Lots of coriander leaves. I'm going to add some right now so that it gives a nice flavor. And now I'm going to add pav bhaji masala, which is easily available in any grocery store. So I'm going to add around 2 tablespoons of pav bhaji masala. Also a little bit of salt so that the tomatoes cook quickly, just a little bit right now. And 2 finely chopped green chilies. Mix all the ingredients properly and let it cook till the tomatoes are absolutely soft. Just a tablespoon of water, not too much. And now I'm going to add boiled green peas, 1 cup. 2 diced potatoes boiled. I have 3 cups of boiled rice and now I'm going to add this to the tomato mixture. Some more coriander leaves and salt to taste. I've already added some in the tomatoes. Now I'm just adding the remaining for the rice. I'm going to take 2 spoons to mix this because it's easier. So very carefully toss the rice. And the tawa pulao is ready. Tawa pulao can be enjoyed with raita or just plain yogurt, and trust me, it makes a fulfilling meal. Do try it at home and comment below. See you next time. Bye-bye. Very special recipe for you, which is a traditional Indian recipe called Malpua. I have half a liter of full-fat milk and I'm going to keep it to boil till it reduces to half the quantity. Keep stirring on this, otherwise the milk is going to start sticking to the bottom. The milk is reduced to half the quantity. And now I'm going to remove it in a bowl and let it cool down completely. While the milk is cooling down, I'm going to quickly make the sugar syrup. For that I have a cup of sugar and I'm also going to add 1 cup of water and I'm going to put this to boil. Keep stirring on this till the sugar crystals dissolve. Basically I want a 1-thread consistency syrup. You can see a small thread being formed. After you turn off the flame, add 1 teaspoon of cardamom powder and a few strands of saffron. Stir it in the sugar syrup and let it cool down a little bit. The milk is completely cooled down and now I'm going to add half a cup of plain flour and whisk it properly. Make sure there are no lumps. Once the batter becomes very thick, you can add a little bit of milk as well. So I've added almost half a cup of extra milk. Also, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. And I think it needs a little more milk. This is the consistency of the batter that I need. It should be a nice pouring consistency batter. Traditionally, the malpuas are deep fried in ghee, but I'm going to just use a little bit and make them like pancakes. Heat a tablespoon of ghee or clarified butter. Just before making the malpuas, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Now I'm going to drop just a spoonful of batter into the ghee. Make sure you cook them on low heat, and the ghee also doesn't have to be very hot. Let's flip them over. They're very delicate, so be a little careful. Perfect. Let's get them out and dip them in the sugar syrup while they are hot so that they absorb the sugar syrup. You can also serve the malpuas with sweet thickened milk that is rabdi, and it tastes extremely good with that too. I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of pistachio flakes and some almond flakes. On this auspicious festival of colors, impress your guests with this Indian traditional delicacy from yesteryears. I'm sure they're going to love it. Do try it at home and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.